morning to all. Good morning to all. I'm going to tell you about the introduction to archaeology. So first we start with this archaeology, the introduction of archaeology to study about the human past. So the human history that relate with the human past. So before evolution of mankind was started in the world, and we start telling about the Stone Age, Paleolithic Age, Neolithic Age, Mesolithic Age and Chalcolithic Age. All this age relate with the invention of wheels, and the wheel, according to this wheel, they invented potteries and other implements that relate with the households, and even for example, the great examples of India is Indus Valley civilizations. So the Indus Valley civilization prehistory was started in 2500 BC. So the first invention was started by Dr. Alexander Cunningham, who was the first archaeologist to study about the Indus Valley civilization. That was followed by John Marshall and Mortimer Wheeler and other archaeologists who participate and contribute that to survey of archaeological survey in India. So to this introduction, we see this picture that relate with archaeology and introduction to method, theory and practices. So we have studied the archaeology, it's a remaining that was unearthed in the surface, that was digged, and the methods, different types of methods that was introduced to the archaeological survey. According to the theory and practices, some of the archaeologists and the laborers who work the field to excavate the site and digging the potteries and other remains, especially the skulls, all other human remains, material remains and physical remains that was excavated by the archaeologists and do the practices. So we have different kinds of archaeology. So there may be a lot of branches to study the emergence of archaeology. So the first kind of archaeology we have studied the marine archaeology or underwater archaeology. So during the Titanic was being ship was discovered in the sea. So some of the implements that relate with the Titanic ships. So the first maritime archaeology was started with the Titanic ship. So this is an example of some of the wheel that was break in the sea. So the underwater archaeologists, they studied about the remains of the ship and what are the materials used by the human on those days, and what are the studies have been conducted, and what are the coral relief that relate with the during that time. So the underwater archaeology is very important in the kinds of archaeology. So another archaeology that relate with the Ethno Archaeologists. Some of the people those relate with the tribals and the cultural and community, they studied the Ethno Archaeologists. So the archaeologists went to the spot and collect the oral and folklore from the Ethno tribals and collect the information, and they excavated the places of to know the Ethno Archaeology. And this one is, what is archaeology? What is archaeology? It's mainly a material remain, physical remain, and human remains is a main important to study about the human past. But what archaeology is not? So what are the things that was not related with the archaeology? That is a panetology. Panetology is study with the stone. We cannot study about the stone. Grave robbing and treasure hunting. So hunting is not that is not included with the archaeology, and paranormal is also not included in archaeology, and curse and magic is also not related with the archaeology. So identifying the archaeological sites. So what are the sites? The primary means of identifying the archaeological sites is survey, especially the survey to discover something new, unknown to known. So that is the survey technique is mainly very important in the archaeological sites. For example, the present studies held in Tamil Nadu, especially the Keeladi. Keeladi excavation is very important survey. It's a part of the whole world talking about the Keeladi excavation sites. So it's similar with the Indus Valley civilization also. So the several different forms of survey using different methodology. So survey conducting method, we have different types of methodology. That is, one is random sampling technique is used, and other thing descriptive analysis is there. That is also related to the survey methods. So there may be pilot studied when archaeologists being made when the archaeological site were excavated. Beyond the sites, the identification of the archaeological surveys are used to assess the regional settlement of the patterns. So through this survey, the people, the archaeological people, they have to identify the identification of the archaeological survey, especially the regional pattern of the settlements, why the people are settled in this. There may be a lot of questions beyond the archaeologist, so identify according to the survey method. So next picture is see the methods. So this is a grid method they used by the archaeologist while excavating, while they surveying and excavated the site. After that, the archaeologists and some of the troop members are using this grid method to excavate the sites, what are the remains that going to collect for further studies. So after the excavation, after the grid system, they dig the material of human remains, especially the pottery. Pottery is the material remain that relate with the human settlement pattern. So the pottery is especially, there may be a grey pottery, black pottery, red pottery, and urn burial, and other potteries relate with green, grey, black oriented ware. Ware is also related with the pottery. So the pottery is especially how the settlements being happened during the predict the civilization of those period. So digging of the pottery is very important. And another one is the excavation that was made. The houses also being excavated. So during the time, the excavation of the houses, all is related with the material remains. And town planning system is also well seen in the Indus Valley time, and now it presently excavated during the Keeladi excavation also. There is a wall, surfaces, flooring method is also used in the Keeladi excavation sites. Those are discovered the new things being the Tamils of those Tamilians of in those periods. So we seen this is a wall painting that the picture is shown the bull, two bulls with the center, the remain was not shown. So the two bulls are seen in the rocket. So the rocket inscriptions, numismatics, even to the epigraphical studies, all these things is related with this wall paintings. So wall paintings is also archaeologist has been excavated. After the excavation, the archaeological places is being preserved by the archaeological department of for example, the India is all created the Archaeological Department of India. According to that, they taking the place as a preservation area. So this one is we seen that archaeologists excavated. This is a urn burial. Urn burial is a burial for human dead bodies, as well as the using for granaries, storing of granaries, etc. And these were the tools that was used during those period. Used for drinking purposes. Some of the pieces laid with the potteries, and some of the potteries collected by the archaeologists and under the survey. And this is a museology. Museology is very important. After this excavation and objects were being discovered, they stored in the museology with the samples. So sample is one of the important things. So dinosaurs is we used different types of methods to carbon dating method, that is we have exact dating of that animal, so that is using in the carbon dating method. All these things we seen in the kinds of archaeology, especially underwater archaeology. Underwater archaeology is also called maritime archaeology, and also ethno archaeology is there. Classical archaeology we studied about the epigraphies and literatures. Some of the scholars relate with the ancient records, documents, all is come under the classical archaeology. And we studied about the historic archaeology. Historic archaeology is very important in archaeology because we studied a lot of material remains, especially the monuments. For example, we see in the Taj Mahal of India. Taj Mahal is a marble stone building, as well as it's built during the Mughal rule. Mughal is being belong to the Muslim religion, so new religion emerged in India, and also we studied the new material that was marble. So there may be lot of things that studied in the historic archaeology. And then numismatics, coins is also very important to study and know the past history of humans. So numismatics is also very important to study the human past. And then epigraphical records already I have mentioned in the classical writings. So all these things is a branch of knowledge that relate with the archaeology discipline. So archaeology, whether it's a science or art, there may be a lot of questions among the historians and archaeologists, but there may be a science, there may be arts. Because science is related in the sense we have studied the anthropology. Anthropology is nothing but to study about the human skull. So they have to study this human skull and skeleton. It's included with the anthropology. Anthropology is there, geology is there, and biology is there. Biology in flora and fauna, those times of flora and fauna, what is the flora and fauna that was presented in the Indus Valley times or the other civilizations being brought in India. As well as we talked with the prehistoric, proto-historic, and present historic is also related with this anthropology, and anthropology is related with archaeology. Especially they started to think of the topography. Topography is related with the surface area, so it is also being a geography is also one of the disciplines of archaeology. So all this thing that relate with the archaeology. So archaeology is very interesting subject to study about the human past. Thank you for watching this video.